Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Natasha Wilson. I am a Pilates mobility coach that specializes in hockey recovery. Today we are going through a fast intermediate Pilates flow. So remember, Pilates is great for joint decompression, stretching out the whole body, improving core strength, and just correcting your imbalances. So it hits all of our, or a lot of our recovery needs. So let's just get started. Again, this is more of an intermediate, so if this is your first time, maybe choose a different video, or let's just go to it. So you're gonna start laying down on your back. Remember, we move with our breath, especially the faster we go. And just because we go faster doesn't mean we lose our control. So you can lay either with legs bent or straight, totally your call. And then arms are just gonna fall where you may. Let's take a second to think of your shoulders or your collarbones stretching wide versus pushing them down. Just think going wide. And then you're gonna take a nice big inhale in through your nose and feel that breath go all the way to the bottom of your lungs. And think of your lungs expanding out like an umbrella. And then as you exhale, exhaling out through the mouth, creating a little bit of heat and picturing that umbrella, aka that rib cage, closing. And then again, so as you inhale, you're fanning out into the bottom of your ribs. And then as you exhale, those ribs are drawing in. It's like you're using your core muscles as this magnetic pull to draw in. Let's do that one more time. And this is the breath that we're gonna stick with and that we're gonna stay with. Okay, adding on movement. Arms still heavy by your side. Cross your right leg over your left. This is knee sway. Inhale to sway towards the left. Think move from your torso. Exhale to come back. Try and relax the opposite shoulder. And then we go the other way. Inhaling to sway. Don't worry so much about how far you go. Think about how not only are you coming from your breath, you're moving from your breath, but you're connecting to your center, your trunk, your core. One more time, so there should be no pull in the back. Think about stretching that area in your back between your bottom ribs and your hips. And coming back to center, and then you're gonna uncross. Our shoulders are still relaxed, left leg over the right. Let's go to the right first. We inhale as we sway. Left shoulder's relaxed. You use your core, your breath to come back to center. Maybe remember, that's what's gonna power you. Inhaling. Exhale, and that's what's gonna help keep us out of our compensations, our imbalances. We're trying to really light up that inner layer of those muscles, inner layer of the body, so we don't overwork the more superficial or the bigger muscles. Okay, then uncrossing, bring right leg up into tabletop. Back stays pressing down, left leg comes up, legs are together. Arms still pressing down, shoulders wide. Inhale as you sway towards your right, picking up your left hip. So watch, your shins are level, so your hips are square. And then exhale, coming back to center. Inhale, pick up your right hip using your core, not your hip flexor. There should be no jamming in your hip flexor at any point during this. If that's the case, hips might have gone unsquare, or we didn't turn on the core enough and we're just overworking or pinching something in that hip. But if we're doing it right, we should actually be strengthening those hips and decompressing them. Hold here, arms up towards the sky, shoulders are heavy. Your arms do not move now, they're like goalposts. Inhale, use your core to pick up your left hip to sway. Those legs are still together, the knees are still level. Exhale to come back to center. Inhaling to sway as you pick up the right hip. So we're stretching that body as we strengthen it. One more per side. So we're always thinking about length and strength together when it comes to true mobility. And last one, using your core to pick up your right hip and back to center. We're gonna keep the legs in the air and we're going to bring the arms overhead. You're gonna bend the elbows, interlace the hands, bring them behind the head. Here comes head float. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, hollow your low core and your mid core and curl up just to the tips of your shoulder blades. And then slowly coming down. Really use your breath and slow controlled movement here. As you curl up, think about reaching the top of your head up for the sky. You might get some of those quivers or shakes. That's great. That does not mean you're weak. That means you're actually getting stronger because you're finding another muscular pathway. You're finding those deeper muscle patterns. And we're gonna do 2 more. So even when you think you stop moving, you're still going. So this idea of always stretching, lengthening through the top of the spine, the lower spine. Last one, you're gonna curl up and then coming back down and rest the head, hug the legs in for a second. Let's go legs straight onto the mat. If that's too much for your low back, if you feel like your low back is still tight, you can go ahead and bend those knees. Otherwise, legs are straight. You're gonna point your toes. So legs together, kind of reach out through your feet like it's like they're stuck in one pant leg. And then arms by your side. Inhale, reach your arms overhead. The palms are facing one another. Don't let those ribs lift off the mat as your arms come overhead. And then exhale to circle. You might see my left arm bend. I'm just hitting a wall. Inhaling, stretching the arms overhead. Reach to your fingers, reach to your toes. And as you hold here, double check that those last ribs are still heavy to the mat. And then circling. You might feel restricted through the shoulders. That's cool. That means you're doing it right? A lot of times arms will come overhead. And if we don't have the flexibility in our shoulders or mobility, our back will come off the mat, but that's a cheat. That's actually putting more pressure into your spine. One more time. So get this idea of lengthen, right? Stretching, that's where that decompression and length comes from in the body. And then from here, hands are now gonna go back behind your head. You're interlacing your fingers. We're gonna bring the legs up into our tabletop again. This is called footwork. So our hips are gonna turn out. So our knees are about to our shoulders. We bring our heels together and our toes apart. Remember, at no point should we feel pinching in the front of the hip or stiffness in that low back or pain in that low back. So rest if you need to. Let's curl up into that head float. So we stay up on the tips of shoulders. We've got space between our chin and our chest. Inhale to stretch your legs forward. Exhale, deeply exhale with that hot breath. You come back in. And then again, inhaling. You might touch elbows to knees, but don't let that be your goal. Otherwise, you could very well pinch those hip flexors. As you exhale, look at that low core and physically see that core pull in. Inhaling. Exhale, you might think of like that tailbone curling up towards the sky. 2 more. Go at like a 45-ish degree angle, or if you need to go even higher, please do. You should not feel this in the low back. The low back should be still down onto the mat. And 1 more. I think that's a bonus, but that's okay. And exhale, look at the core. Physically see it pull in, and then rest the head. Unite the legs in and rock side to side. And then from here, legs are gonna go straight onto the mat. Point the toes. We're gonna point them today. Arms stretch overhead. So again, how far can your arms come without your back popping off the mat? And then we're gonna do something called straight leg roll up. So as you inhale, you bring your arms forward. You start to pick up your head. You peel your spine up off the mat, one piece at a time as you round forward. So you create this like C shape in your spine, reaching forward. Your shoulders are away from your ears. And then you start to melt back down again. Inhaling, keep pointing through the toes. Feel how that lets you get this curl out of your low back, arms overhead. And then again, inhaling. So we're thinking coming up 1 vertebrae at a time. That helps with our joint, our spine articulation, helps with opening up the back, strengthening the core, and creating that space in our spine and our hips. And a couple more. Inhale. Do not let those legs lift off the mat. You scoop through the core. You reach out through the toes. You might even feel your inner thighs, your adductors light up. That's cool. Remember how we said Pilates is full body? Everything is working and lengthening together. Just like in real life or in hockey, you are free flowing. You are always moving, and that's what we're representing here as well. So arms stretch overhead. 1 more. Coming up and forward again, shoulders away from your ears. You're moving through your spine. There should be no pull in that low back. In fact, you should feel like you're unraveling into your low back as you come down. This one, we go into rolling like a ball. You inhale as you bring your arms forward. You pick up your head. At the last moment, you bend your knees in. You hold onto your shins and your feet are off the mat. So from here, you're like this sort of egg shape with your spine and your legs drawn in. You try and keep that shape the whole time. You're gonna inhale, roll back to your shoulder blades. Exhale to come back up, your feet don't touch. Inhaling, so you're finding your control within momentum, inhaling, and it should be smooth through that back. If that low back is tight or locked out, you're almost gonna feel like you hit a brick wall. So just really think of slowing down into that spot, even if that means you don't come up all the way. 1 more time, hold. Good, feet come down. From here, where our legs are gonna go straight, arms out in front, and then we're gonna melt all the way down onto our back. Take a second here, stretch your arms overhead again. Okay, so from here, you're going to hug this right leg into your chest. You can go left hand to knee, right hand to ankle, or wherever those hands end up. Great. You're just going to hold on for a second, okay? Then I want you to reach or point out into your left leg or toes so much it lifts off the mat. Lift it high enough that you feel like your core is working and your back is not strained. Then you're going to curl up into a head float, right? Tips of shoulder blades off the mat. From here, we're going to change the hands. So you're going to interlace the fingers and have the palms facing away from you. So now we're pressing our right knee into our hands, and then we switch legs. Right leg presses in, we resist with the hands and switch. So we're creating this resistance and this extra connection into the core while we're still lengthening. So remember, we strengthen while we lengthen. And if you can really think, reach out into the toes, reach out from your torso. That's where we're going to get that joint decompression. We're going to stay out of that hip flexor. One more time. And rest. And anytime you need to come down sooner, please do. You're not allowed to feel any strain through that back. So then from here, our legs are going to come up tabletop. We're going to flex the toes to the shins, interlace the hands, they come behind the head. And this is your oblique twist or bicycle, but we're going to be extra slow, extra controlled. We're going to curl up into your head float. Remember, we love slow controlled movements. So we're going to inhale, twist to the right as the left leg straightens. You think of reaching out from your rib cage. Exhale, come back to center, hold. Inhale, twist to the left, right leg straightens. Exhale, twist and hold. Think move from your spine. So if your spine was like a barbecue skewer, you are the meat that's rotating around your skewer. So try and keep your shoulder blades off the mat so we're not rocking onto our shoulder blade. One more time. Stretch and center and rest. Whew. Rock up to seated. From here, depending on where you are, you can cross your legs. Hands come forward, and then you can slide the hands back. Oh, my mat's sticky, sorry. And if not, that doesn't work. You can just swing yourself around too, okay? So we are laying down on our stomach now. Hands under our shoulders. You're pointing back through your legs. So if your legs can be together, great. If that feels like it's too tight on your low back, then go ahead and go a little bit wider. But we got to think of those legs being active, reaching out through your toes. That will help decompress and pull pressure away from your low back. So from here, hands are down on the mat, elbows tight to your side like chicken wings. And then as you inhale, I want you to slowly lift your eyes off the mat. Then your nose, then your chin, then your neck, maybe your collarbones. If you can go higher, if you can lift that chest off, then you can press into the arms and you keep tightening or stretching up through the front of the core. You can go into your arms straighten if you can do it without going into your low back and then coming back down. And then again, inhale. You got to make sure you articulate through the upper spine, the mid spine. If you just come up to here, that's totally fine too. And then coming back down. And again, inhale. Just watch that the head doesn't look up and then you press up. That's going to put a lot of pressure into your neck and the rest of your back. Reach out through the toes. So this is just like that straight leg roll up, but in reverse, right? So we're articulating the spine. We're improving that spinal articulation, decompression, strength through the back, and coming back down. Whew. And from here, to sit back to a child's pose. So knees can go wide. You can press back. Take a second there. If arms feel good reaching out in front of you, great. If that's too much for the shoulders, they feel too tight, go ahead and bend them. They can go underneath your head. Or if there's another resting position you like, if you can't be in your knees this much, that's totally fine. You can take that resting position. Okay, then let's come forward onto all fours. We are going to start with a version of your kind of bird dog meets donkey kick. So let's start with the right leg. We're going to point the toe today. Think about keeping that 90-degree angle in your right knee. And we're going to exhale as you lift up. Inhale down. So watch this low back. It's not dropping. That's probably the biggest mistake I see. And that would put pressure in your low back. So if you can think of the tail being tucked, so tucking your tail in between your legs, your low core is in, and then lifting, that's great. Again, if you feel restricted, that's okay. That just means your body's being stable. And then up. Now let's add the arm. So you're going to exhale as your right leg comes up into donkey kick, left arm stretches out, and then come back in. And then same side still. If you don't want to do both arm and leg, if that's too much to think about, with your breathing, with your moving, just do the leg. One more. And down. Then we do other side. Left leg, we start with the donkey kick first. We point the toe and you press up. So if you can almost think about the stretch through the front of the body or that left quad, sometimes that really helps me to make sure I'm not dropping in the back. Or you can just keep pulling in through that low core. Okay, let's add the arm. Exhale, stretching out. Adding on that coordination. Remember, our body is a free-flowing entity? I don't know, we're free-flowing humans. So let's make sure our movement, our mobility reflects that. If we can only be stable in a hold, then that doesn't totally help us. So then from here, sit back into another child's pose again if that feels good for you. Okay, let's restack that spine. We're gonna swing those legs around. We're going into shoulder bridge here, or glute bridge, whatever you would like to call it. We call it both in Pilates. So hands are gonna go down by your sides. Again, collarbones going wide, knees and feet in line with your hips. We are going to peel the spine off the mat for the first three. Again, articulation. Inhale, press into your feet. You curl the tail, so you think of that tail curling in between your inner thighs, pressing up from the backs of the hips. We are not arching the low back. And then exhale to come down. That's another common issue I see, that we want to get so high in our bridge, or we want to extend the hips so much that instead of actually extending the hips, we arch the back. And then that's when you're going to feel like this is coming from your low back. And that's not what we want. We want the back to be stretched out. One more time. You're pressing into your feet. Keep your weight forward into your feet and feel that curl of the tail and how much that low core has to be on when you do that. Those hip stabilizer muscles. Good. Now we're going to go into a straight up bridge, regular glute bridge. Think you're squeezing like a ball in between your inner thighs. Let's exhale to go up. Inhale to go down. 2 more. And back down. Last one. Hold. From here, keep those hips square. We're pressing into the left hamstring, left foot, not the back. Then the right leg is going to come up, knee bent, toe pointed. We do toe taps. So you're going to inhale to lower. If you can tap the ground, great. Exhale to come up again. Inhale, lower. If you can't touch the ground without, with still keeping the hips square, then just go to where you can. We want the hips to be square. We're pressing into that left hamstring. 2 more. If your hips have to come a little bit lower to make sure you're not in the low back, do that. And then come back up. And then lowering down, reset. Take a moment. Almost think squeeze inner thighs together, even though they're apart. That's going to help find your center line, right? What connects into your spine, into your innermost core. We press down through the right leg. Left leg comes up, toe pointed, and let's go. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. If we can just get a few really quality reps in, that's just what the body needs. And lift, and then lower down. From here, melt the spine down one piece at a time. We're going to cross the right ankle over the left knee. If that's enough of a stretch for you, great. If you want more, hug this left leg in. Try and keep the left shin parallel to the ground. Think elbows wide, chest is open. One more big breath. And then uncross other side, left ankle over right knee, ankle. And then whatever you did on one side, you'll do on the other. Good. I imagine you're doing good. And then you're going to lower all the way down. Okay, from here, let's hug the legs in. You're going to roll up to seated. We're getting real fancy. We're getting really spicy here. We're going into an exercise called your jackknife. It's our first inversion of the day. I'm going to show you the modified version first, and then the full version, you can decide which one feels good to you. So from here, if you've never done this before, please start off with this one. But the legs are up in tabletop. You can even cross one ankle over the other knee. Arms are pressing down. And you would do a little tail lift, sometimes called a reverse crunch, but I just hate the word crunch. So you're going to inhale, lift up, and then down. It's not a crunch, it's a lift. Inhale, lift, and then down. But you have to be able to do it keeping your head down, your neck down, and your shoulders down. It's a lot of triceps. So that's option 1. Option 2, you point the toes. Your hands are by your hips, and then you would press into your hands, your legs. I'll make sure my mic gets pulled with me. You're going to go over, legs go up. We're up on our weights on our shoulder blades, and then we would roll down one piece at a time, keeping the legs off of the chest, keeping the head down, neck down, shoulders down. So you might have done that one with me, but if you didn't, choose your option now. It's like goosebumps, choose your own adventure. And then you're going to press over. Here we go. Inhale, whichever version you're doing, make sure you breathe. I'll just keep doing the full version if you're doing that with me. Cool. If you're doing the first one, cool. Melting down, shoulders are down. From here, hips touch. And then go over again. Try not to use momentum, but try and lift up with control. Inhaling, exhale, melting down. We're melting. Our triceps are down. Ooh, feel that. One more time. Inhale, going up and over. Remember, our weight is not in our neck. Our neck is free. Our weight is in our shoulder blades. And then come down one piece of our spine at a time. Hug the legs into your chest. And then from here, we're gonna roll onto your right side. We're gonna do some side work here. So we want spine, so head to tail in line with the back edge of your mat, and then legs forward to the front edge. If you're not on a mat, just make sure your spine is straight and your legs are in front of you. Top hand down. Our top leg is going to be turned out, toe pointed, and we're gonna do some hip work here. So first one, we're just gonna do circles, just little baby circles. Nice and controlled. Remember the hip is a ball and socket joint, meaning it can rotate around. Your shoulder is your other ball and socket joint, just for fun information. 2 and 1, and then go the other way. Nice and controlled. Takes a lot of work. 2 and 1. Okay, then from here, we are going to keep that hip externally rotated, turned out. So toes pointing to the sky. We're gonna bend the knee, and you're gonna drag that bottom leg up, top leg up your bottom leg as high as you can without feeling pinched in the hip. And then you're going to slowly extend it. Think extend from your hamstring, flex the foot, and come back down. Let's do it again. Point the foot, bend the knee, so your knee is facing the sky. You extend from the back of your hip, flex, and back down. I'd love to do that one more time. Turning out. So if you can just go to your knee or even less, that's fine. Do not push it to where you feel pinched, because you're just training your body to feel that more. Then let's go the other way. So our foot is flexed. We go up. We bend the knee. Our hip is still turning out. So lots of external rotation. Point the toe and then slide down. And again, flex. Going up, bend, point, and glide. One more time. Up, bend, point, and glide. From here, the head comes down. Legs are together. We flex the feet, turning on those adductors some more. Inhale, lift both legs up. Exhale, lower. There is no strain in the neck. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. This is coming from that core. 2 and 1. Top leg stays, bottom leg lowers, bottom leg comes back up. Bottom leg lowers and back up. Again, we're out of the neck for 3. We're thinking long, reaching through those feet for 2. Length and strength through those adductors, and 1. And then come back down. In between, so before we do the other side, we're gonna roll onto the stomach, do something called grasshopper. The hands are overlapped down on the mat. Your head is on the back of your head is on the back of your hands. And then you're gonna reach out through your legs. They're gonna start together like they're in that one pant leg again, and then you're gonna clap. You're gonna open, close those legs. So the legs open, they close, they open, they close. You're gonna go fast like they're clapping together, hence like a grasshopper's legs, for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you're gonna lower down. Let's press back to a child's pose. I hope you're feeling that heat, that sort of sauna-like heat that's running through your body. That sauna-like sweat, and then you're gonna restack the spine. Let's do the other side. So I'll just swing around so I'm still facing you. If you swing around so you're not facing me, that's fine. I'll make sure you can hear me. So, all right, we're down. We're lined up, the legs are forward. All right, from here, top leg lifts out, it's turned out, toe pointed, and we do those little circles. Nice and controlled. Think like you're cleaning out all the cobwebs of your hip, trying to even it out, right? Balance out the hip and then go the other way, right? Always adding in that balance. We're thinking of reaching into that toe. It's not just there like dead weight. The more we stretch it forward, the more we can engage your core, great, and the more we'll decompress this joint and strengthen the leg, and then lower the leg down. You're turned out, toe pointed. Now we're gonna turn the leg out as we draw it up our bottom leg, extend, think stretch more from the hamstring versus tire out the quad. Then flex and come down. I know that's weird to think about, but it will help balance out those hamstrings and quads. And coming up, flex and down. Listen to that hip. One more time, you're turned out, you're drawing, you're extending, you're flexing the foot to come down, reverse it. Flexing the foot as you come up, bend the knee, point and glide. And this is great. The more we change that foot, flexing to come up, bend, point and glide, we're creating more strength in our foot, more equilibrium through the front and back of those hips. And coming back down. And now the head's gonna come down, legs together, feet flex. Remember, legs are still in front of you so we don't go in the back. You're gonna inhale, pick up both legs. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And lengthen out. Again, think like you're reaching your legs out, and you'll start to feel that side core even more. And one more, hold. Bottom leg lowers, pull it up. Think the attraction of your upper inner thighs will feel better than just sort of lifting or connecting the ankles. 2, we want it to come from our source of power, which is our core, and then coming back down. Good. From here, you can turn onto your back, and we're gonna do that figure 4 stretch again. So crossing your right ankle over your left knee, we're on a back. We only do that grasshopper exercise twice. Whether you wanna hug that left leg in or keep it down on the mat's totally up to you. And then you can uncross, other side. Okay, and then let's uncross again. From here, legs are going to go straight onto the mat. We're gonna point the toes. We're gonna reach the arms overhead. We call it a teaser in Pilates, but it's a V-sit. So if you wanna come up with your knees bent, please do, all right? But from here, you're gonna bring your arms forward like that wave coming out of the ocean. You start to pick up the upper body, then think point into the toes so much that the legs can lift. Are you up in your V? Or if you need to bend, that's fine too. Do what feels best for those hip flexors and that back. And we're just gonna hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the legs down with control. Do not dare arch that back. And then reach forward, take a nice long length there. Head is down, so we're not kinking the neck. Think you're always trying to unwrinkle the body or unwrinkle the neck. And then you're going to restack. Okay, from here we do a butterfly stretch. So you bend the knees in, hips are turned out, bottoms of feet together. And I'm just gonna turn to you for this. So don't pull the legs too close in towards you, have them a little bit further away. Hands can come underneath the ankles. You're gonna pull your spine up nice and tall, and then bend the elbows and lean forward. So we want a flat back, or a lengthened back, I should say. If you want to get very technical, the back itself is not flat. But if you get what I mean, we're going to neutral, we're not slouching, and we're not overextending or over back bending. We're trying to keep this nice long line. Okay, and then you're gonna restack your spine. This is another rolling one, so again, finding your control within momentum. So we're gonna pick the feet up off the ground. Your hands come through the legs and they hold on to the outside of the feet, okay? So from here, we are going to roll just like we did before. So you're gonna inhale, roll back, think tail goes up, exhale forward, you hover, feet don't touch the ground. Inhaling, exhale forward, whoop, good. Remember, use that breath. Inhaling back, exhaling forward. If you know this and you know it's got 3 claps to it, you can do that. So it's 3 claps of the feet to the front and 3 to the back, clap, clap, clap. And this is controlled. In a perfect world, you're not rolling when you're clapping. Let's do one more, whether you're clapping or not, and hold. Good. Then from here, we are just going to cross at the ankles. If you are feeling a little bit more flexible through the hips, you can also do a half lotus, which would be bringing one foot on top of the other thigh. But if that's too much, or you feel the knees, please just go regular cross position. And then back is nice and long, hands come forward. We're gonna lean forward as our hands walk out, and we just take a stretch to stop where it feels good for the back. And then let's walk it back. Switch legs, so whether the other leg goes in front or on top of the other thigh. And then again, walking forward, stretching out, lengthening space through your back and through your hips. And coming back. Okay, so once you've walked back, let's just stretch you out really quick. You're gonna come to laying down on your back for a spine twist. So once you're laying down, gently bring your right leg up into a tabletop position. Then you're gonna use your core to lift your right hip up. You can twist to the left, and then your right arm can go out in a T position or a cactus arm for more of a stretch. So that's where the arm or the elbows bend 90 degrees. And let's just hold there. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. 2 more big breaths. You can always use something underneath this right leg to support it. So whether that be like a pillow, a ball, a foam roller. You shouldn't feel any pinching through the front of your hip though. You might have just brought the leg a little too close to you. So just watch that. And then use your next breath to roll back. And then from here, that leg's gonna go straight. Even just feel the difference in the length there in both legs. And then we can bring the left leg up into tabletop. You're gonna use your core to lift that hip up to twist. You can support it with that right hand, and then the left arm, whatever it did on one side, it's gonna do on the other. So if you like that T position, great. If you like more going into the cactus and that feels good, great. Let's just take 2 more big breaths there. Think breathing into the back. No squishing or pinching through the front of your hip. Last one. And then using your core to come back, you're gonna hug both legs into your chest. You can just rock side to side for a moment. And then when you're ready, you can just roll up to seated like a little ball. And we're almost at the end here. We're gonna come into a lunge stretch. So let's bring the left foot forward. And we're gonna really make sure we align your pelvis or we pull that low core in. So if you like, you can have your hands on the crest of your hips, but just make sure you engage that low core. You might feel that little curl of your pelvis or tail, and then you should feel automatically a little bit more of a stretch into that right quad when you engage that core and align your pelvis. So from there, if you wanna go more, you can, but you still gotta think of that low core engagement and little curl of the tail. So just go a little bit. And then that way we're gonna get more out of the stretch. We're gonna get more out of your quad, more out of your hip flexor versus just hanging forward, because that can sometimes put too much pressure in the front of your hip. Let's bring the right arm up. You're gonna think pull up through the ribs, not necessarily the shoulder, and then just think of like you're going so high, you're stretching so much that you start to side bend a little bit. It's more about getting that length than it is about side bending. And then you're gonna come back to center. Let's bring that arm down and then we can switch. Left leg comes back, right leg comes forward. So core is engaged. You feel pelvis is aligned, and then you'll know it's right when you feel a little bit more of that stretch in that left quad. And then if you want, you can shift forward a little bit more, but just kind of focusing on that stretch all the way through the quad and then up through the hip. And you'll feel it where you need it the most, but you just don't want to feel like you're hanging in the front of your hip. Then let's bring that left arm up. So your shoulders away from your ear. You're gonna think like you're reaching up through your ribs so much. That's gonna create length in your spine and the muscles. And then you lean up or you lift up so much that you can almost side bend. It's a very baby side bend. You just don't want to side bend so far either that you feel any smushing in the opposite side. No smush. And then come back to center. And then that's it. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got that heat going through the body. You feel like everything is lengthened out, decompressed. And I just can't wait to see you in the next video. If you did enjoy this, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video.